Kurt.
That was me.
Kurt. You wanted to go see Chris Spedding.
I wanted to see Chris Spedding play guitar.
It was fantastic.
Yeah. And I'm a big Robert Gordon fan too, but you know, and so Slim Jim was the drummer, and Glenn Matlock was the bass player, and Glenn Matlock was the first bass player for the Sex Pistols, and it was really good, and we saw some terrific opening bands too. So on the drive home, we thought, you know, I think we need to be doing this. There's nobody doing it around where we are, except for maybe the Magnetos. But
well, most of the bands covering rockabilly, like you said earlier, are psychobilly or punk rockabilly. You know, there's nobody doing the straight 50s style rockabilly stuff.
We're trying to keep a little more of that country twang, I guess, or what have you.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
I'm such a big Carl Perkins fan. I just can't get enough of that since I mean, and I'd heard some of it, and I knew it, but I'd never really listened to it or really.
It sounds simple when you hear the songs, but you break them down, and he never sings anything the same way twice. That guy's remarkable, and we try to honor that.
And some of his phrasing is a little asymmetrical and unorthodox. I'm not sure. I think it's on purpose, and sometimes it's hard to tell. But it's just, it's really, it's good energy. It's really good.
So when did you guys officially start as a band?
The first gig was New Year's Eve of this year.
Yeah.
Played at the Bank in Dubuque. When did we start playing? When was that concert? I don't remember.
I don't know, when we probably started practicing about a year ago, kind of.
Yes,
4
months ago.
You know, just once in a while.
Kind of tried it out.
Kind of trying things out. And I don't think we got real serious until maybe late fall of last year, kind of prepping for that first gig at New Year's Eve. So,
which is really kind of unusual because we're finding that our first gig we have to play 3 hours, and with each song being about 2 3/4 minutes long, we had a lot of songs to learn. So we decided maybe we ought to practice a little more often. Oh, yeah, we did well. It's a good band, great music.
You guys sound great, and I think rockabilly, the style you're playing, is something that's been around for years and years, but people are aware of it, but they're not aware of it because when they hear it, they go, "Wow, that's a great sound." You know, what's that? It's like
so seminal. You know, I mean, it's so much of what we're listening to yet today. It just, I don't know. It's probably, I know there's always movements to go back to roots or whatever, like, you know, the blues, which you're really familiar with, but this is just, it's just a pleasure to play simple, fun, easy, you know, it's not lowbrow, it's just basic, it's just so basic.
It's elemental. And,
it's elemental.
And it's an unusual thing that happened in 1955-ish, to have that kind of music suddenly come out of 3 or 4 different types of musical influences, and it happened for such a short period of time. And basically, you have to understand that rock and roll didn't exist when this music was happening, and like Dan said, it kind of just set the stage for rock and roll, for country.
Well,
and go ahead.
Well, I mean, country.
Country was around, but
country was a big influence.
Okay, you're right.
But it was such a short period, and then I think rock and roll went its way, country went its way.
Yeah.
Right.
Jazz.
And these guys, all these musicians, I mean, you can look up Eddie Cochran and look up YouTube videos of Eddie Cochran, and half of them you'll see him doing some syrupy, string-backed ballad, because he became famous.
Johnny Burnett.
Johnny Burnett, he's right. I was thinking Eddie Cochran unfortunately died.
Eddie Cochran did a lot of those syrupy things though too.
Well, that's what the labels wanted.
Right.
They owned it, and then, you know, why would any artist not want to follow the money? And they followed the money, and they made some money. And
there were some who didn't, though, and we don't know about that. I mean, those are some of the guys that we're finding here that we're getting. Well, I mean, you know,
Billy Lee Riley.
Billy Lee Riley is crazy stuff. Flying saucer rock and roll. I mean, you never heard anything like that before.
Yeah. You know, for its day,
you know, Ray Camp,
you know, like Dan was saying, how music kind of is cyclical, and it comes back to its roots eventually. And often it happens when what would be deemed like a punk movement, where it gets down to 3 chords and guitar, bass, and drums, and it's crunchy and it's aggressive, and it's not layered with fluff. And this was kind of the punk of its day, you know.
Right.
And it came back around, and there is a reason why when punk came in the late '70s, that you had guys like Joe Strummer looking like an old rockabilly guy. There's a reason for that. They wanted to go back to its roots too, and it comes back around every 20 years or something. It's great. I love when it comes back like that. It's the best.